up with brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am, but right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song, this is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. You know, there's just 230 days until Christmas 2023, and I got the show started 5 minutes late because I was hanging out with my friends. I was talking with Jason Ward and Star Wars Meg. We were just visiting, talking about stuff, and I looked down and it's 12:35. I was like, "Oh no, it's time to go. We got to get this thing going." So, thanks for joining us today.
Let's go.
It's day 8 of the writer's strike. So just making sure we keep track of that. And if you've noticed in my thumbnails and whatnot, I put it's a 3-digit number because I think it's very possible we could go into 3 digits with this strike in the number of days. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Dawn Basham's here. Hello, Dawn. And also Yachty. So Dawn and Yachty met me.
Damn, Shawty.
Yeah, Shawty.
They met me over in Indianapolis this last weekend, and we had a great time at the Indiana convention. So here's the picture of us together. We've got Yachty right there beside me in the blue shirt, and then D. Bradley Baker right in the middle with Dawn on the other side. This was fantastic. Look at that expression.
Dawn surfing, in case you don't know.
D. Bradley Baker. That was a fantastic picture. This is just great. It just makes me happy.
In case you're wondering who D. Bradley Baker is, he's Klaus from American Dad. I don't know about this clone stuff.
So we had a great time out at the Indiana Comic Convention, and I was telling Jason and Meg that as we were standing in line to get this picture, we were just hanging out, and somebody saw my logo, and they actually saw the one that has Santa Claus on it. So it was this one here. Was this logo, right? So they saw this logo, and they're like, "Oh, Star Wars and Santa, two of my favorite things in the world." And then they got talking about, Santa, he likes the sequels better than the prequels, and they started hazing me.
Fake fan, yeah.
Yeah. They started hazing me, and then. And then they made me tell them my hottest of my hot takes that.
And it was that you're just a po' boy. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Well, that it's that Rey is a better character in the movies than Anakin, and that elicited a large response.
That's not fair. That's like that's saying, oh, I like this child better than this other child. I mean, you always tell me that you have a favorite child, but I don't. So
I mean, Star Wars is all about Anakin, so I don't know how there's a different opinion to that.
Well, it was funny because Yachty's right. I almost started an uprising. It was fun, and we had a lot of fun in line. Of course, nobody agreed with me. Nobody. So I had no supporters. They were just like, "Oh,
boo, boo, Santa,
boo. Go back to the North Pole where you belong."
Yeah, and there was a kid that I was talking to right next to us, and he just that was more than his brain could handle. But it was fun. But the difference between meeting folks in real life and you're going to a convention, and and we were talking. Meg saw this when she was out at the Star Wars Celebration, and we certainly saw it this weekend when we were in Indianapolis Comic Convention. You're just around a bunch of nerds that love Star Wars, you know.
Yeah.
And quickly, the conversation moved off of my hot takes onto things that we love, and we got talking about stuff. We're going deep into theories and discussion, and it was great. We had a good time hanging out. That's what people in real life do.
Rey is in a rift, and then she goes back in time, and she's Anakin's mom, bro.
That actually was out there.
I got this. People kept sending me that back in the day. I was like, "Shut up, okay."
So the question this week I saw when I got back was, do you think in the movies when we get the movie with Rey in it in 2025, do you think that she will have a child or children of her own? Do you think she'll be a mom?
I hope not. I mean, we didn't ask that question of Luke.
Correct. I'm with you there. What do you think, Jason?
No. I mean, why would she be a mom? I mean,
well,
I've seen some theories that Kylo impregnated her before he died, but I don't like that theory.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I'm like, no, I don't like that theory at all.
It's a really good defense against child support, though. You're like, I just kissed her, and this ain't Star Wars, right? It ain't my kid. I mean, yeah, because I mean the thing about it is like that kind of concept. That's a big concept.
Yeah.
And if your concept film is Rey starts a Jedi Order, if that's your elevator pitch, I don't see how you make that the B story. Personally, it seems too big to be, the resurrection of Kylo Ren or Ben Solo or whatever, like that kind of thing. Like, I mean, anything's possible, but
I'm opposed to it for one major reason is the end of the Skywalker Palpatine saga. If she has a child, then that can continue through her bloodline of being a Palpatine. But I don't want to see that. I just want it to end. I want this to be the end of it. We move on with new Star Wars stories. I definitely want more content with Rey, but I think the motherly may come in the form of younglings.
Well, Santa, I've realized something about you.
Yeah.
I've realized you really hate Palpatine.
Yeah, he does.
Because between hating on the Plagueis novel and hating Rey's lineage, wanting to be done with it, I'm starting to see a pattern.
Yeah.
If you put a Skywalker, in my opinion, if you put a Skywalker into a story, does it make it a Skywalker saga film? Does it make it episode 10? But if you make it about family, which is what that would be doing, now you're making episode 10. And the movie's not episode 10. That's my logic, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you there. However, if by chance they write it into the story that she does have a child or children, I'll see how it goes. Me personally, I hope that she doesn't. I really, I like. Look, there was some discussion about this too. I like my good guys to be good guys. I don't need my good guys to make a turn to the dark side, become evil, then see them.
So you're saying that women who have children are evil? I agree with you.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but it's just I don't need to see that, right? Yeah. I don't need to see that journey into becoming the bad guy, seeing the light, the redemption.
Well, Santa, here's the thing. You know how there's YouTubers who are complaining that there's like some woke agenda or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, if they're right, they're very wrong. But if they're right, then Rey wouldn't have kids because she's power woman, don't need no man, no children, career woman.
I mean, yeah, the actual answer is for Lucasfilm just to fire everybody and only hire people from Alabama. That would fix everything.
But then wouldn't Rey have deformities due to inbreeding?
Wouldn't that be Mike Porter, though? Mike Porter.
The whole movie
he's from Georgia.
It would be a bunch of puns. The whole movie would be a bunch of puns. I'm watching.
Hey, by the way, Mike Porter is less than a week from turning 60 years old.
Ooh.
Mike Porter's birthday is coming right up. And I've got another picture to show you because when we were at the convention, finally got proof. I got absolute proof that that my bet with Sheev was incorrectly judged. I got to find it. Hold on. I've got a picture. Yachty sent it to me. Oh, hold on.
Guess Will Morgan doesn't want a job at Lucasfilm.
Yachty sent me this picture. She took it with her camera. Here we go. Cad Bane lives.
Oh, he does.
There he is. Cad Bane.
He gained weight.
He's got a cigarette. Is he smoking a
That is
cigarette?
a chubby Cad Bane.
That is. Hey. Don't fat shame Cad Bane. But
No
let's
fat shaming
shame him
Cad
for
Bane.
smoking.
Hey,
Cad
I
Bane
didn't say
does
there's
not
anything
smoke.
wrong with being chubby. I am gorda myself, so
And no, it's just, proof. Cad Bane's alive, live action. There he is. I ran right into him in
Smoking a Pall Mall.
You're right. And he's got a press pass. So,
Oh.
Cad Bane. He's
He gave up
legit.
bounty hunting. Because, you know what? After I got shot, I had to totally turn my life around. I went to night school.
Right. Yeah, I saw yours too, Dawn. I was just having trouble finding it real quick, and then I remembered that Yachty sent me this one directly. So when you see Sheev, you got to let him know Cad Bane lives. I've got photographic evidence. I can prove it.
It's fact.
It's
in all seriousness, do you guys think we will see Grogu in the new film?
I think it's too close to the Mando, like the Mando film that has to happen, or the Filoni film. I don't see them being able to reconcile those like timelines in a cohesive way to make them talk to each other. At this point, so I would say there's 100% chance it will not happen. Like for that reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you work it out, he's the right age to be in it, 100%. And what was the theory? I can't remember who came up with it. That we could very well see Rey and her order that she's come up with, and there's some discussion to be made of that too. How closely will it resemble the Jedi Order of the prequels or the prequels, or will it be a new thing? Hey, Max is here. Good to see you, Max.
I'm Max.
Fantastic.
I don't mean to be negative, but with Obey Chinoy's film, I feel like it might be the worst thing ever.
Why is that?
I don't know. Like, just gut feeling. The same gut feeling that told me Mando season 3 was going to be less than the other two, about halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know enough about her work. She did a lot of documentaries. She did Miss Marvel, which I didn't see, but I don't know. I don't have the confidence in Lucasfilm at the moment to make a decent film.
I think it's fair to be skeptical. I think it's absolutely fair because there's not enough consistency for the fandom as a whole, for sure. So I think everything has been popular with some folks. I don't think there's been an entire flop out there. But with the general fandom as a whole, there's been very little that everybody fell behind. Mando season 1 and season 2 kind of being the exception. Season 3, again, a little different from the fandom, but it looks like viewership was pretty good, maybe even better than season 2. We'll have to wait till we get the full breakdown of it. But in any event, there's different folks being drawn to the fandom now, and you're starting to see different factions of folks who like different things. And that, I think that's the future. That's where we're headed. And will the movie appeal to all fans, or the vast majority of fans? Really don't know. I don't know if it's possible.
So like Baymax says, I'm with Meg. Big movie for a person with little track record to tackle. So there's actually I think two really important distinctions to make in this. Number one is her track record. She's made some of the best documentaries of the last 20 years. The directing in them is phenomenal. I watch a lot of documentaries, and she gets the shots.
Well,
that is amazing.
Star Wars.
Well,
No,
but wait,
Meg.
yeah.
If you go watch, you could go on YouTube, watch the documentaries, and you're only going to see Star Wars shots.
And the thing is,
But second part, really quickly, it doesn't mean she can get a performance out of an actor. I don't know if she can. That is actually the thing where I'm like, I don't know, because Daisy Ridley is not a bad actor, but she's also not phenomenal. She's not going to just bring it by showing up and being her effervescent self. She needs to be like directed.
well, let's clarify. I think writer director. A lot of people automatically the director is the writer, and that's not true. 100%. She's not writing this movie.
Yeah.
She's directing this movie. We have different writers, including the script that was turned in that's not moving forward, but they will take that script and then continue forward with it. That script, the screenplay, all of that's going to be developed. She's not the writer, so she's the director. So it's absolutely on point to say, look at what she's done for the directing, not for the story. She's not writing the story. She's directing the shots. And can she get the shots? And can she get the acting out of the
I'm convinced 100% the shots will be there. That is not something that I'm worried about with her, because she's getting those shots in real life. So imagine when she gets to plan the shots. They're going to be good. But like I said, the ability to get a performance out of an actor, and the Ms. Marvel show just isn't something that you can really look at that and say anything about, because it's just not that kind of show where the acting is needs to be, up here.
Said that, Jason. Deborah Chow had some incredible shots in Mando season 1.
Right.
But when it came to Kenobi, I don't think we can say the same.
Well, and when there's a good chance too, or I shouldn't say a good chance, but there's a chance that in Mando, she didn't make up those shots. I always have to tell people, no one will ever remember this or listen to me. One director doesn't direct all of the episode of Mando. I've seen Favreau directing tons of episodes in season 1, and he's not a director in season 1. So because something is really good, it doesn't mean it's done by the person who's the director in it. It might be, but it doesn't mean that it is. And sometimes somebody who directed on episode 2 might do a shot from episode 4 because they had the Jawas and they just had to do the setup, and so everything goes. That's more of like a team effort. So what you get with Kenobi is you get Deborah Chow doing all of it at one time. I think personally, it seems to me like maybe 6 episodes of a season of a show was too much work for that production for her, because she's always done TV shows where she's done 1 or 2 episodes in a season, and this time she was doing 6 in a row. I don't think that was the way to go on that show. Looking back at it now,
I think likewise
I do have a
you could
question
look
for you,
at.
Jason. Do you remember there was a rumor in 2021 that Lucasfilm were looking to do a Star Wars comedy? Do you think that was The Mandalorian season 3 and the joke's on us?
Oh, I was going to ask though. I was going to bring up similar with Rodriguez, right? And it's going to lead us to another topic. Rodriguez, of course, directed the episode of Boba Fett in season 2 of Mando, and then he was the showrunner for Boba Fett. Yeah. People loved Boba Fett in Mando too. Not so much, in a general sense, in the Book of Boba Fett. Same director. Again, you have to be reminded about the writing and the directing, not necessarily being the same dude. And it's tough, a lot of these things, to pick out and say, well, what did they write? What did they direct? What did they, what was their role in this shot or this scene or this shot and this scene? So that's why I really want to be clear about this movie, where we're going with Rey. And back to the question, would Grogu be in it? Well, there was a theory, and again, I think I want to say Meg covered it, but I don't know, that Rey would have her own Jedi Academy of sorts, whatever that looks like, and that some point she could run across Grogu, who is now fully grown, who is maybe interacted with other Force sensitives like Ezra or Ahsoka or others, and is also, and of course Luke. Right? I mean, he's already interacted with Luke. He could interact more. By the time we get to 15 years after Rise of Skywalker, Rey could meet Grogu and be at different philosophies about using the Force, different places with it, right? So it's possible that we could see Grogu in that movie in some sense, but a fully grown Grogu, not little baby Grogu.
I just, yeah, I mean, anything is possible in that sense that they like inhabit like the same storytelling space in some way, but I don't see Favreau and Filoni being like, yeah, like take Grogu and grow him up and go do something else with them because it's convenient for you, when they're still telling that story, like meeting Ezra, meeting us, all that stuff like that. That hasn't happened yet. They probably want to do it, and it hasn't happened yet. So that's why I think it's off the table. But my theory is what they do is they have Din live to be 70 or 80 if they don't kill him, if that's where they would go. Then when he dies, that's when he would go on to the Jedi stuff after Din's gone. That's when he moves on to the Force stuff. And then that would allow that something like that to happen like down the road. But
imagine this. It's Grogu in the future. He's all grown up. Mm-hmm. He's got a stupid Mandalorian helmet on. And he's got some kind of lightsaber.
Right.
He's like the next Tar Vizsla.
Okay.
And then he goes on some mission, let's say to, I don't know, Navarro. And then he goes back to, what do they call it? House Mudhorn. The house at the end of Mando season 3. And there he finds Mando's helmet. Mando's long dead, by the way.
Are you Mudhorny? Come on in.
He holds Mando's helmet up to his head and starts bawling his eyes out. I want Star Wars to break my heart like that, but there's no writers who write anything decent. So, Lucasfilm, if you want good Star Wars, a lot of us have some good ideas.
Yeah, and I know I was listening to, and somebody mentioned Nerd Vengers. Folks may know I started the channel after talking with Josh. Josh helped me come up with Star Wars Santa as a channel brand. He certainly was involved in the genesis of the channel, and we've got many folks here who support the channel back from those days. And now we're doing our own things, and that's the way it is, right? I'm not like really active with the Den of Nerds anymore. I'm too busy. I got other things going on. Josh is too busy. Josh doesn't call me. I don't call him. It's just the way we're not mad at each other. It's just that we're too busy. And I've got these awesome friends here, Meg and Jason, who are just fantastic. So, who needs to go?
You know what the problem is with modern day Lucasfilm? Is they seem more concerned with how can we insert Easter eggs from other films and references so that you can point to the screen and go, oh, look, there's Indiana Jones's whip in Luthen's shot. And you see these smug writers post on Twitter, stuff like that, saying, oh, did you catch this? Like, no, we just want a good story.
Well, and some people are looking for, and that's what I brought up from Nerd Theory last night. Josh was saying he wants something to really, twist his mind. Like he wants a story that.
Oh, that's already happened.
Yeah. Well.
The problem that we run into though is that it's never like the same people. Like it is never going to be. Like Tony Gilroy doesn't write all of Star Wars. Yeah. But also like in that example, like Andor's like nearly a perfect show. And then there's the stuff in the background that was just done. The Indiana Jones whip is just done by the people making the props and the sets. Like they're the ones that are putting it in there. It's not like a thing where Lucasfilm's like, how can we do this? And they're having a meeting about it or something.
Right.
I disagree for things like Book of Boba, where you literally had them run into Ralph McQuarrie's painting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but that's just, that right there. Like that's Robert Rodriguez of Star Wars for you at the end of the day. And that's different than like Tony Gilroy Star Wars, but that's where there's always going to be a disconnect because there's always going to be these different flavors coming in.
Yep.
So everybody's like, well, I like chocolate. Then here comes vanilla. And then they're like, oh, there's vanilla ice cream. I went my Anakin Skywalker with the laser swords. And then they get really mad about it. And then they throw their fit. And then the grown-ups get mad that it's not Andor. And so if we listen to people, if we listen to like the discourse, we will be driven insane.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah,
why
yeah.
you just have to go like, you know what? Some people can roll with like fucking Robert Rodriguez makes some dorky stuff and it just is what it is. And like, that's why like eventually, like when there's just enough out there, when it just keeps coming, I just be like, you know what? I don't really need Michael Bay Star Wars, so I'm just gonna skip that one. You know what I mean? Like if he does, for instance.
Well, and I was talking to Yachty. I found out a sore bone to pick with Yachty. Anytime you just want to, poke the bear, all you have to do is bringing live animated characters into live action, or vice versa, right? She hates that. She absolutely hates it, and she desperately does not want to see her animated characters from the Bad Batch, for example, make it to live action. She's vehemently opposed to it. So all you have to do is bring up the theory that their little island sanctuary, Pabu, is actually on Scarif, and you'll poke that bear, and Yanni gets really upset. Right?
I live for stuff like that, Santa. I live for the day Omega shows up in something else.
See, I do too.
Because
I look forward
I'm
to
an
it.
old school fan in terms of I kind of like characters we know. Because I've noticed I'm feeling more and more incongruity with Disney Star Wars fans who seem to be a very different breed of Star Wars fan to just Star Wars fans. And they're the sort of people who'll tell you don't need cameos in shows. It's like you kind of do. Because cameos bring in numbers, they bring in viewership, they bring in excitement. Because your average Star Wars fan doesn't want a Bix show. They'd rather see Luke in Book of Boba and Ahsoka.
That's why they're wrong. That's why they're wrong.
Dale,
That's
you're
the Disney Star Wars fan mentality.
But I don't think that the methodology is like, though, like what cameos can we put into this? I think they make the episode, or they go and they write the story, and they're like, oh, you know what would be fun if we could put blank here, and then they might do it. Like in Rogue One, like the original drafts, I don't think Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan show up. Now that's like my least favorite moment in that whole film, and but also at the same time, it did what it was supposed to do on social media when the movie hit, and that right there. But that's one of those things where I'm like, it's like weird, because I'm guilty of liking the cameos as much as the next person, or being excited about it. But then also there's been times when I'm like, this is actually distracting from the like narrative that's at play. And I don't like that.
Yeah. And I think
give me an example of when it distracts.
Ponda Baba, like for instance, showing up, and Dr. Evazan, that right there, like it took me out of the moment in the movie. And it was like, oh, it's the guys from the thing, and that's where they are. And it's just like, that's not where my head's supposed to be. My head's not supposed to be thinking about Luke Skywalker in a stupid bar in the next movie. I'm supposed to be thinking about this movie, this moment, the mission, what we're doing on Jeddah at that time. And that the fact that we need to get out of here, kind of stuff.
I understand that. That one I do agree with you.
And I think Mike Porter's got his kind of finger on the pulse here. Is we do set our own expectations. We each have our own kind of relationship with Star Wars, and we come to it because something grabbed our fascination, our imaginations, and gave us an escape at some point in our lives. And for each of us, we've all lived different lives. We've come at it from different places, and those things that we attach to are different. And so when something happens that helps fill in part of the story that wasn't told before, and it doesn't align to the thing that captured your fascination, your imagination, it can break it for you. And it's why all these stories with Darth Vader in it are dangerous. Right? You're trying to fill in every day, every hour of his life. Do
you know what your personal philosophy for Star Wars is about what makes it work for you? Do you know like what is yours, Meg?
Mine is just George Lucas's ethos. Because I disagree with Mike Porter. I think that's a very easy cop out for really terrible Star Wars, and I don't think it's just preference. I literally think they've deviated so far away from a very. I'm going to say it's so much easier to get Star Wars right than what they've done in recent years.
Well, George Lucas would disagree with you when his prequels came out and people just tore them apart.
But I think that's very different. That's an easy cop out. When you just had 3 films, a lot of fans had already in their head what the ones that would come before that would be like.
That's
Mhm.
what
But he
I'm
told
saying.
that story. But I'm saying now that his story has been told, now that the story he wanted to tell was Star Wars is told, I've always said the sequel trilogy may not be perfect, but they still follow that ethos, I think.
Mhm.
I'm saying
I-
more with the TV shows, I don't know, they make such odd decisions.
Well,
Because
yeah, I mean,
I've
true.
worked mine out. And mine is that it like, and I think you see it in Visions when Visions works. The most simplified way is just that the fact that you put a human story into that narrative, and then it's in the Star Wars universe. That's why, like, you know what I mean? Rogue, to go back to the Rogue One example, a daughter is having a problem with her fathers, with her authority male figures in her life growing up. She's a rebel, and then she has to come to some atonement with that in that narrative. And that right there becomes a universal, very George Lucas thing. That's why everybody thinks Star Wars was about their religion, Luke Skywalker was them, and so on, because of that human like element to it. But that's why when we get to, for instance, to pick on Boba Fett again, he just wants to rule with respect is not something that actually means anything to any of us, unless we're like a gang member in LA and we're like, we want respect. You know what I mean? That's not, has nothing to do with us. I don't understand it. It's not a problem that I have that I can relate to, or that an agenda that I could go, yep, there we go. So like that, and that's when it fails for me usually. And that's
For
why
me,
I think Mando season 1 works so well.
yeah,
Father and son.
the thing that grabbed me when I was 10 years old in
Mhm.
the theater in 77
Yeah.
was fantasy and good versus evil, right? Vader was evil.
Yeah.
Vader wasn't conflicted. Vader
Where's
was
Black?
evil.
Yeah.
He's evil.
Right.
Good versus evil. Straight up. I don't need my good guys to be partially evil or my bad guys to be partially good. I just like good versus evil. And that's one of the things that people are complaining about during the Disney era of Star Wars. We're starting to get more ambivalence in there, more shades of gray added to the good or the bad. Like nobody's purely evil, nobody's purely good. But that's what grabbed me from the beginning. And then as I grew with it, it was some of the just absurdity of a lot of it too, right? It's just fun, all right? And so I have a lot of fun with it. We got a couple of things here to bring up. Brandon says the High Republic and sequel eras are his favorite eras. That's fantastic, Brandon. And then we have a super chat. This DKK 50.
Danish krona.
No, that's Donkey Kong Cash with the Donkey Kong Cash has a K. Yeah, Aria lives in like Nintendo land. So,
Nintendo Land.
Yeah.
Well, Aria, thank you for the super chat. Lucasfilm should double down with Rian Johnson. Give him a big bag so he doesn't do other things, make his own trilogy. The man knows Star Wars in and out. I agree with you, Aria.
Me too.
And I think his directing sense is fantastic. I would love to see him continue directing Star Wars. I absolutely would.
Well, interestingly enough, I would say The Last Jedi was better written than it was directed. Like all the shots of, Holdo 2 inches away from her face was a bit off-putting.
There was a couple of scenes from Last Jedi that bother me. That just somebody needed to look at them and say, that didn't work that way. The one being Leia Poppins, right? Everybody points out it just looks weird. I'm okay with the concept of what happened, but like the execution of the shot is odd. It needs worked on.
My first viewing of that, I left and someone was like, "What was the part you liked the least?" or something like that, and I was like, I think it was the execution of that Leia moment. I like it on paper. I like the idea of it, but it didn't really, like, my first viewing. It didn't land for me.
And I don't
strangely,
like,
you know what else
You
is?
have a problem with that, but yet you're happy with episode 6 of Mando season 3.
6-3.
Wait, me?
3-6.
No,
Or-
not
She's
you.
picking on me. She's picking on me.
Picking on
Like
you.
with the Lizzo and the Jack Black stuff.
Oh, it was fun. Ton of fun. Right? There was nothing that was like directorly like awkward as far as like seeing her fly through space. It was odd looking. But that episode was fine. It was fun, and when you see them going through the streets and chasing, all that was great.
Make my thing with it is they were like, we're going so far and like laughing at their own joke, but when I look at it, they didn't really go far enough to do what they. So I was like, either you turn this back and keep it in tone with the rest of the show, or you really go out there. That's when you get like remember that little tiny dude in Bieber. Remember that guy from Clone Wars, like that little tiny guy? That's when you start just going like insane, and they kind of didn't. So I was a little bit like about it at the end of the day. But I mean, but the television shows are not directed at the same level as the films in any way whatsoever. Yeah. It never happened.
I want to move on to a couple other topics, and we're having a great discussion. I'm having a lot of fun hanging out with you guys, but there's a couple of topics that we won't get to if I don't kind of push it. And and I'm reminded, I've got this sitting in front of me here. I got to show you guys. Going to conventions, there's all kinds of fantastic stuff. We were at the Indiana Comic Convention, and I picked up a piece of artwork from Disparity. This is the guy's work, Disparity.
Don't despair. It's disparity.com.
He's got some hilarious artwork. Yadi couldn't quit laughing. Every time we went by, she'd find something else to laugh at. So he offered us a deal. It probably wasn't that great of a deal, but I bought it anyway because why not?
Right. What's this guy's problem?
But look at this, right? I couldn't help myself. It's Christmassy. It's Star Wars, but it's also got some stuff in it just to bug you, right? There's an ornament here. Let's see if I can find it. See it right there? Mm-hmm. There's the ISR on right there. We got an X-wing and all that. You keep looking. Oh, there's the TARDIS. Okay, you keep going, and the blasphemy of it all right there at the top. Right, you got the Enterprise,
a Star Trek.
But this is great. I love it. I'll frame it. It's a nice mix of like all the nerdy stuff that I love that I could put on my wall here in my office, and then also
it's cool.
I'm walking by. You've got lots of artists, like the actual artists, the writers, the stuff in the convention selling their wares. I'm walking down the aisle and this guy says, "Hey Santa, come over here." And then he offered to sell me this book, Santa Saves Christmas, the complete trilogy, right? There's a whole trilogy.
That's a big book.
Yeah. You've got What the Frost? Santa versus Zombies.
All right.
You've got the second book in the trilogy is It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Raptors.
Okay.
And then the last one, Should Eldritch Horrors Be Forgotten? So anyway, I bought that. He autographed it, right? He signed it. So good fun. Good fun. We had a great time. I saw a couple other stories come across that I think are worth discussing. And I go back to Meg's videos from over the weekend. And I know for a lot of you, this is old news. But hey, I'm hanging out with my friends. Hey. And we're talking Star Wars. So, hey, there.
Get off his back. He's Santa Claus.
Yeah. Problem. Yeah. Let me hold on one second. I gotta do a
sit down, Baymax. Leave him alone.
So there we go. Mission accomplished. My friend, there's somebody in the chat. We have a plan in place. Mm-hmm. My part of the plan has been executed. Now it's up to you, my friend. So anyway,
Order 66.
Yeah. Go for it. Dave talked about some defining moments in his movie. We know that there's the Mandoverse movie.
Right. This is the one where they unfreeze Gina Carano from the carbonite, right?
Something like that. Something like that. But there's one point of confusion. I heard this at the convention.
Yeah.
We're waiting in line to go into the Star Wars panel, which Meg also covered, where D. Bradley Baker gave us one last message from Tech.
Mm-hmm.
It's touching. He did a fantastic job.
Was it I farted?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. It was
Okay.
very well done. And got a lot of people in the audience like choked
What
up. It was
what
really
was
well
it?
done.
What was it?
He gave a message just like a soldier's purpose is fulfilled by and he goes on about it, and my mission was fulfilled, and my story has
Okay.
been told, like that kind of thing. It was really, really well done. You can see it in Meg's video a couple days
He
ago.
also said Nutrigrain bar and a Mountain Dew. It's a deep cut reference that one person will understand, I think.
Let me see here. I actually I clipped it, so I
And to
can't.
that, Meg said, "Red Bull and beans." No. Okay.
I'm trying to look things up. And let's see. I did clip it so that I could play just that portion from Meg's video. Here we go. Hold on. Let me open this, and then I got to
Copyright
pause
strike.
it.
Yeah.
I know.
Flag
What am I
Meg.
going to do?
Get that money back.
Hold on. I gotta go back. Hold on. All right. Let's see here. I put this over here. Meg's on the stream. Yeah. If she's going to copyright us, then what are we going to do?
She's gonna get you.
I know. That's you got to watch. Oh, come on now. It's not cooperating.
I think he thinks we're serious, Meg. He's like, "Oh, it doesn't work. I'm not falling for her tricks."
Let's see here. Let's see. I don't know that I shared this with audio. Let me hold on. I'm gonna back out one more time. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Good. No, you're learning. It's good.
Oh, what am I gonna do with you guys? Here we go.
Look at the face of Esposito right there in that middle picture. It's like, what is that? It's like Superman's dad now. Kyle, I want you to become. Oh, sorry. All right.
Okay, here we go.
Subject of heart-wrenching Bad Batch updates, D. Bradley Baker, the voice of the clones, was asked to give a final goodbye for Tech in Tech's voice. This was heartbreaking. Check it out.
Well, a soldier's life is fulfilled by fulfilling the mission and supporting his brothers. And this was the end of mine. And that's a good thing.
Being there
There you go.
I want to subscribe to that channel. Could you give me the link?
The link to Star Wars Meg's channel is in the description of this video. So you guys can subscribe to Star Wars Meg. You should already be subscribed to her. That's why you're here. I mean, this loser.
Santa, did you watch any more BBC recently?
Yeah.
I've not seen any new BBC series yet. It's coming. I will be.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Oh, I fell into it. Sorry, I didn't catch it. Hey, Sam, a super chat. The movie needs to be just be Ahsoka, Luke, Rebels crew with little to no Mando, with no Boba whatsoever. It'll end up being like Avengers otherwise. So I see the concern. Like if we make too many folks come in, it'll be too Avenger-ish. We'll have too many heroes. It'll be kind of take people away from feeling like this is the event it should be. I wanted to bring up, there's been some confusion. And I heard this when we were standing in line for that panel. We went in to listen to the panel, and there was a guy next to us talking, and he was talking how, well, this is the end of The Mandalorian. That's going to be it. It's the end of this series. I'm like, well, I don't know that that's true. It's the culmination of all these series together, but is it the end of The Mandalorian?
Well, if it was, they wouldn't tell us, because then they would be telling us that what their big story moment would be is that Din dies in it, for instance, or something like that. But I do think that the thing is, Sam, is I think what you're saying is what they're actually going for. I think they're going for a Guardians of the Galaxy / Avengers like thing, with it being like the ultimate meetup of all of those characters in like a really in a big way with the big event. So like that's what Filoni's kind of been getting at, is that this is going to have like a big event that changes everything in the galaxy. So, and we could guess what those are. It's probably essentially the fall of the Imperial remnants, the defeat of Thrawn, the rise of the Snoke Avatar, something like that could all come out of the movie. Doesn't mean it happens in the movie, but it probably. I think the defeating Thrawn would probably be what the movie would focus on. I would think.
Well, to call it an era-defining moment. So we know that First Order during the sequels, that's the era-defining moment, right? The First Order comes to power, they blow up planets, and they somehow Palpatine returns, right? All of that happens. That's the era-defining moment of the sequels. The era-defining of the original trilogy prequels, that's all been established. What's the era-defining moment here? It's definitely going to be Thrawn, right? It's definitely going to be this.
And out of the ashes of that comes the First Order, like literally that kind of, from what we know, unless it's something that we could never conceptualize, and then that changes all of how we view that stuff. But I think that's what it would be. And like he goes on, Sam said, yeah, Jason, I think they would do better with a smaller character arc with a huge ending. They could achieve this better with doing it on a smaller scale over time. And yeah, but that's also what the TV shows are kind of for. And since they're kind of jumping medium, excuse me, like I think it's going to be made here. Right now, all the signs are pointing towards that film being made here in Los Angeles, which means it's essentially going to be the TV show. But when we get to the visual effects spectacle, that's where it's going to step up. And I would also think things maybe like Luke Skywalker would be more on the table in a really big, more meaningful way. And we can't overlook, it's completely, it's speculation, but look how good Mark Hamill looks right now. He looks like he's been getting ready for something. Maybe he just cares about his health a lot, and that's all that it is. But he's felt. He could play Luke Skywalker in the movie with like how Harrison Ford is playing 40-year-old Han Solo in the next 40-year-old Indiana Jones in the next indie film. I think he can do it.
Well, Meg mentioned something on her stream Saturday, and I was listening to it, and it got me excited because there was an interview with Zahn, who mentioned that Rook may not have been the name of the character, but rather his title, and that we could end up with another Rook. So anybody who has read Heir to the Empire, you know what goes on with the Nogri, right? The Nogri are the species that Rook is. And Rook, in the end of the series, spoiler warning, I got in trouble with this at Celebration because I shared it with Yadi and Dawn, that Rook kills Thrawn because he finds out what he's been doing with the Nogri, his people, and all of this.
Which is why it won't happen that way in this one.
So
right?
We could
because we'll all see it coming. We'll be all like, "Oh, well, that's the Rook." Okay.
Well, we saw Rook die in Rebels, or presumably die, right? So
that was a Rookie.
There, but in that video, Meg talked a lot about the Grisk. In Filoni's movie, the era-defining moment could absolutely be a war against the Grisk, involving Thrawn and all the characters that we've seen. It gets back to your Avengers style thing where you end up with like the scene at the end of Rise of Skywalker, all the people coming from all the places to fight all the Grisk.
Never gonna happen. The Grisk never gonna show up because they're just by some dude in a book and they don't care. That's what I say.
Oh my goodness, Jason.
I get Grisk all day. DMs, hey, what about the Grisk? And I'm just like, yeah, they didn't read that book, so they don't care. I mean, I know fans care, but I don't think the Grisk are ever going to show up. I'm like if I'm just betting, and I'll love to be wrong because I know it makes so many people happy, but the Grisk, never.
But they're not the Yuzan Vong. Yuzan Vong, I agree, will never show up. We're never going to see Yuzan Vong. Oh well,
I mean, Grisk is just we're rewriting the Yuzan Vong concept, and we want to switch it up and make a couple of things. So we're calling it this. That way, you don't say it's that, and then we can move on.
Well, they're
Like, that's
different.
Yeah.
So certain are you, Jason?
I'm very certain. I'm very certain that a certain director who would be doing that thinks the concept's like tepid.
Strong you are with the Force, but not that strong.
Yeah. So, and Baymax, I'm on to you now. You guys fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on
Fiddle-dee-dee.
I got to think of what President Bush's quote was on that. He got that completely wrong, and I can't think of how he said it. It was very funny, but
Revenge Guy works on the burial ground of a Fuddruckers, and now he's going to become haunted by a Fuddruckers.
What's this? President Bush is a Fuddrucker?
no, Rob probably knows the quote. The President Bush, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, fool me another time. I don't know. He said something like that. Weird. It was completely messed up.
Was it Step Brothers that started with that quote? One of the Will Ferrell movies just has the quote up. It has nothing to do with the movie at all. It just starts with that quote, and it's funny. It's some random Bush quote.
Wait, Bush is the one who said it.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't quote war criminals.
Bill Bush.
So when do you think we will see Boba Fett again? So back to the point of Cameo showing up here or there, and
back to the tank. What you're saying? Back to the tank
that has been covered. It came from and Meg covered it today in your video today.
The Empire one.
It was Gizmodo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they did an interview with Robert Rodriguez, and they asked him, when are we gonna see Boba Fett again?
Right.
And he says, well, I know the answer, but I can't tell you.
Which means yes.
I heard you say that.
Yeah.
Which basically means yes. But when do you think that is? Is it Mando 4? Is it...
Didn't Jason have a thing about seeing Slave 1 for an upcoming something?
It's out. Yeah, the thing for the cockpit stuff. It's been moved out, and I heard that they're making Boba new Boba armor, a new set for something. So I'm gonna say just this is just completely conjecture, but most likely it's just Mando 4.
Mando 4.
Most likely. Based off of what they've been building stuff for already and what's been happening, I would think so.
Sketchcraft. Breaking news: Boba Fett is featured in Willow season 2.
Oh, Robert Rodriguez can have him play the guitar. There we go. They'll do that in that show.
Sam says, "No more Boba armor. My wallet can't afford it." From your lips to God's ears for Hasbro. Anytime you can have another set of Boba armor, they're like printing money over there.
Well, I don't have any details on it yet, but I've been wondering if the fact that he's like Daimyo now, if we're gonna get like fancier Boba Fett. Because because I mean, if you think about like when you have Mando's armor in season 1, and then once he's gone through and he's got those upgrades, it's all silvered out and stuff like that. It's all Beskar out. Like, I'm wondering it, but that they would obviously keep it like evocative of the original design.
Iced out Boba. Yeah. Well, and look at Grief Karga, right?
Yeah.
There's you see all kinds of progression in the fanciness of his outfit. So yeah, Boba Fett could have more bling added to his armor. Absolutely. Sam, another super chat. Thank you for that, Sam. Says, do you think Cal Kestis is going to take the mantle of Kyle Katarn somewhat? I've seen a lot of talk about this, that Kyle Katarn from the EU is a character type similar to Cal Kestis, that the character type is has a lot of similarity. So from that, I'll say, yeah, from a certain point of view, sorta. And I think the bigger question then is, will he ever make the transition over into live action, some other project? And I know, Jason, you mentioned it'd be a step down to go from video games to live action.
And yeah,
but would they do it?
Well, and to answer like his thing, yeah, it's tied into that. The amount of people that have been exposed to Cal compared to Kyle Katarn is like night and day. There's way more Cal consumers in general, I would think. And because it's like we're probably around 30 to 40 million on the first game alone, like at the end of people that just like downloaded it and played it and are familiar with like who it is. And then back on that original Kyle Katarn games, PC gaming wasn't that huge then. It was a really small market, and not that many people are actually like that got to play that game at that time. Those games came out before people actively usually had a PC in their home. Like around 1999 is when you started to see everybody has a PC, a 486 or something at least in their house. And before that, your richer friends might have had a Mac. Your nerdier kids had some Amigas or something, but it wasn't like completely, a thing that people had. And but so it's like just like the amount of like the cultural like participation with that character is way big. So yeah, I think Kyle Katarn is maybe in Star Wars gives us like an avatar for Cal, sort of, or an archetype for like the Cal kind of concept, and then we go on from there. But also, what was he just in? He was in Obi-Wan, right? And that was Kyle Katarn, right? Was that Kyle Katarn? Was that the kid Kyle? No, who was that? Who was that in Obi-Wan Kenobi? Who was the?
That's an Old Republic guy.
No. One of the children.
Yeah.
Who was it?
What's his name? Someone will let us know in the chat.
Yeah, it wasn't Kyle.
Oh, Corran Horn. That's
Corran.
Right. Yeah, I was like, because I remember they were like, because they're like reimagining Corran Horn now, and so I was like, was that Kyle Katarn? No, that wasn't Kyle. Okay, but yeah, so I would imagine though somebody who loved that game, somebody will bring that character back, and they will get like, but hopefully it's something good. But I always thought the character was kind of like half baked in the sense that he was sort of like he was you.
Well, I would love to see them bring him into live action. The actor's up for it. He's the right type and everything. I mean, to bring that.
Bring Cal in.
Cal Kestis it's an easy port over to live action, and I think it'd be a big move. I kind of go back to the earlier discussion we had about bringing cameos into Star Wars and how good that can be if done right. And that's the key, is it needs to be done right. You don't bring in a cameo just for the, there's a term used, and I hate to say it because it's kind of vulgar-ish to me anyway. Mm-hmm. The glub shitto, right? Mm-hmm. To bring that character in. You shouldn't bring it in for that reason. But like in Andor, characters show up because they're part of the story. They're part of the scene. Like they need to be there. They're not just there for some cameo moment, right? So I would love to see him brought in a meaningful way that matters, not just some random. Right?
I wasn't sold on the character in the first game. I thought he was kind of like a blank slate a bit, just like, oh yeah, just kind of like how I feel about Kyle Katarn. But in the new game, I'm completely sold on the character now. I dig him. He's good. Like it works. The story on the second. Have you got to watch the videos of the second game yet? Have you got to see like a movie supercut yet? Okay.
Part of them. I'm made it about an hour into the 3.5 hours. So I've seen part. And I highlighted this, Seth. So cue all the Star Wars accounts taking it out of context, saying Boba will get a new look in Mando 4.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people like these like Twitter accounts that are around that just like, and it happens on TikTok too. They just take something that you say and then they sexify it up and add like stuff to it. Like I think Meg mentioned one to me or something like that. Or do we know about this?
Yeah, I tagged you in one because it was just so like exaggerated. It'll be an interview with someone saying something very vague. Oh yeah, it was Vane from Mando is going to be the main antagonist of Skeleton Crew, when the quote was just that he's going to appear.
Right. Yeah, and he was in the trailer. Like, so it was like, so I was like, really? So I had to like go look it up to see if I missed something, because I know because like I heard that there was pirates in Skeleton Crew. Then Bespin actually had that the pirates from Mando 3 were in that. So I was like looking up them. I'm like, yeah. And then I looked up the article. I'm like, yeah, this is just person just making shit up to get like likes on Twitter.
They did the same with Leslie Headland saying that she said the Jedi are terrible when the quote was like, I'm following what George did with the Phantom Menace. It's a very different thing.
And they've taken where she had somebody in the writer's room who wasn't a Star Wars fan saying, well, they have non-Star Wars fans in the writer's room. Look, it's just trying to take part of a story and turn it into something that doesn't represent.
And you know why it shouldn't even matter, Santa? Tony Gilroy's final editing on Rogue One is what made the film so great. And yet he was not a Star Wars fan and still isn't.
Correct.
No, because he makes sure to put the human story into the point, and then you have a good movie. It doesn't matter. Like I would say, Alec Guinness doesn't like your Star Wars, and it's probably one of the best things about the original film.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
And Leslie Headland is a huge Star Wars fan, huge Star Wars nerd.
She's one of those EU people. She's like the people that are actively usually trying to like crucify her are the ones that like she's your person, dummy. That's the person you've been waiting for. But she's a lesbian, so I'm mad. It's a culture war.
Look, she's who you've been looking for, right? She is the writer director you've been looking for, and you can't get over some other things about her. So you've got to try to tear it down. You
know what it is with her though? I think people go after her because of who she used to work for.
Yeah,
and that guy's a demon and everything. But I think at some stage it's just like, let's just move forward and hope she does a good Star Wars.
But that isn't even they're not like sincere about that. They just are like, we gotcha. You worked for Weinstein, and that means that you were like that one lady who helped that one guy on Epstein's Island. Like, and it's just like, you're freaking crazy. Everybody worked for that guy. Like everybody, you probably, I mean, when I say you, I mean any of you that probably worked for Monsters too.
Yeah, I know. An Acolyte should be the thing people are really excited about because of what Leslie is going to bring to that story. And it has a lot of potential, a lot of potential. A couple other things. Visions is get a season 3, and maybe a 4, 5, 6. Who knows? I'm in favor of it. I love seeing these small studios or non-Star Wars studios, but they're not all small. Some of them are quite big, significant studios. But to see them building these, these shows that they can take some artistic freedom with, and they can create a story. Not all of them are for me, by far. Some of them are like, what did I just see? But others were fantastic. So I think it's great, and I'm excited about season 3 and beyond. Has anybody heard? Are they doing additional seasons of Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Sith?
Yes, season 2 was confirmed.
Fantastic.
At Celebration.
I think that's what a lot of people.
It sounds like Filoni wants to do different Jedi. So there is who knows? We might get Ben Solo. We might get some different eras.
That'd be great.
And if he doesn't, we might get probably like the story where Plo Koon takes Ahsoka. That's one where he takes her to the Jedi Temple. Like that's one I think it would actually be appropriate considering.
So
can I just address Sam Eon mentioned the moment in episode 7 of Andor with Fiona Shaw's performance where she says, "That's just love. Nothing you can do about that." I'm so glad you brought that up, Sam, because that moment for me was like the most gut-wrenching of the entirety of Andor season 1.
Yeah,
that's great.
It gets so overlooked. I don't see many people talk about Malva, but she was probably one of the best things about season 1 with Stellan Skarsgård's Luthen.
Will you we need Star Wars Jocasta's Magic School Bus.
I'm for it. No, but what I was going to say is, and we mentioned this before, sort of as well. You get Visions. It's entirely different than Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi fills in some. It's canon, right? Like they fill in some canon story beats for us that we maybe haven't seen before. It's great. You shouldn't look at Visions that way. These are just
Right.
independent studios given some license to create a story. And then it's like Lego, right? Lego tells stories that are highly entertaining for some folks. So a lot of the different series aren't going to be for everybody. And mentioning Lego, this is again my friend Yadi. She does fantastic toy photography. She just picked these up at the convention and she did this shot of these characters. Look at that. Nice job, Yadi. But anyway, yeah, we got different content for different folks, and that's fine. And I'm for it. And so the next was Andor season 2. Last 3 episodes are going to be the 3 days before Rogue One.
So I'm going to die. I'm going to party hard, and it's just like a party bender. He's meeting all the girls he met earlier on in the show.
Well, I'll tell you
living out
what
his
it's
last
starting to do for me is make me wish it wasn't just 2 seasons. I'm concerned. My concern for Andor season 2 is that they're in 3 episode arcs, each basically a year apart from one another.
Mhm.
And that's a long period of time to leave out between story arcs. And like, if these last 3 are literally 3 days, subsequent, one after another, right into Rogue One. Well, the gap between that is a year, let's say, and then there's 3 other days that happen, perhaps in succession to each other as well, right? Like one after another. So my concern is we're covering so much time in so short a period, so few episodes. I want more. Right? I don't want these stories to seem rushed, and it feels like that to me.
I would say in that first season of the show, in season 1 of Andor, it really could have been like that. Could have been 3 years if they wanted it to be, and none of it would have felt rushed to you. So I don't think they're going to be like, "Hey, y'all, it's been a year," like every single time. I think they'll just be like, okay, like one episode at the end, they'll be like, we're going to Yavin, we're gonna establish the base, right? Then in the next episode, you're just gonna be there, and so I have a feeling it won't really matter, and I don't think it's gonna feel like, oh, now I missed so much. I don't think in that narrative that he's gonna create, you're gonna feel like you're missing stuff.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. I think it'll be well structured. Unlike Mando season 3, which was just a few dragon episodes,
Yeah.
and then Gideon shows up at the end.
Right. But she's
man.
right. She's right. I mean, it really is. I mean, that's the difference. I mean, the caliber of writer between Favreau and Gilroy is worlds apart, and that's not even like a dig on him. I think he would agree. I think he knows. I think everybody knows. I mean, most writers aren't Tony Gilroy. I think most writers that aren't full of themselves would know that and see the big difference. There's a huge gulf between where you're like a Favreau, who's a successful Hollywood director, writer who makes really, really great like popcorn movies, and then what Tony Gilroy can do that's why he was brought into Rogue One.
Look, I liked Mando season 3. I think it's overly criticized. I thought it was a really great season, and Yadi and I debated it when we were in Indianapolis as well. She didn't like it either, but I loved it. I thought it was great, and I loved seeing Bo-Katan's story arc develop through that season. It was wonderful.
But you can see the difference the difference in the caliber of writer between.
Oh, I can see a huge difference between
Right.
Mando season 1.
Well, I'm talking
Mando
about
season
Gilroy
2.
and Favreau.
Yeah,
Do you think the
Yeah,
reason
like-
that those of us who didn't like Mando season 3 is because not all of us are Marvel fans? Because
Well,
I wouldn't, like, to me, episode 6, I wouldn't have been surprised if Tom Holland comes in as Spider-Man. It was
come
that
on.
out of universe for me.
I hear you, but no, I that's a little ludicrous for me. It was great, and I think the problem is that people were really wanting to see Din and Grogu's story arc continue on, and that's not what they got. And so that's where I think the the basis of it comes. The
Yeah.
rest of it is
The writer had us become attached to a protagonist, and then weekly wrote the protagonist after in the third season, and wrote the supporting character stronger than and made him more of an observer. And the audience will reject it. I think that was a lesson for them though, about how far you can push that, like in that series. In other shows, Mando could show up with Grogu and be that guy perfectly fine. But in this one, that's where the audience will say, "What are you doing, man?" You know, that's what happens.
I'm not one to argue with somebody about why they should love the thing I love, or why they should hate the thing that I hate. I'm just not going to do it.
No, and you're evaluating it on.
I'm
what
having
it
a hard
is,
time,
not on what it should be.
Trying to defend something that somebody else dislikes. If you dislike it, you dislike it. I can't. Yeah. So I have it's just for me, it's hard to do that because I love you guys so much. I don't want to like try to say anything that's insulting in any way. Because
you can insult me.
You can't
insult me.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I think Santa thinks we're stupid.
No, I don't. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm like, I don't want to come across as insulting, and to me, I enjoyed it, and so I just leave it that. Fine, I've got bad taste. I love bad things. I have terrible taste.
I didn't say
everything.
that. Meg did. I didn't say that about you.
I didn't say that either.
I can't help it.
I do think the Rey Anakin thing was a step too far, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rey, my Rey shelf got an update. I got all these minifigs here.
Daisy, it's time to get a restraining order.
So I got really excited to find these little minifigs. So now, the Rey shelf is expanded. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Mando season 3 helped build the universe for me. It helped reestablish Mandalore. That's going to be important. I have a longer view of things, and my expectations were different. The things I enjoy are just different. So I don't know.
The original point where I was trying to get at for you was I don't think the concern over Andor 2 is going to matter in terms of the narrative that he's writing. But I think when we look back at everything and we're like, oh man, I want more, not because 2 is lacking, just because if they could have done 5, we would have had 5 really good seasons of a really well-written television show.
Yeah.
I think that would be the end.
Yeah. You've hit the nail on the head, and it goes back to what I was saying. It's not that a lot of us have expectations, and Andor is a great example. I don't care what Tony Gilroy does with Andor season 2. I have full faith in the guy's vision. That's the difference. If I know something's going to be well written, it doesn't have to be my expectations. It doesn't have to be my checklist. If the story's good, I don't care where it goes. And I think Andor season 2 is the only thing Star Wars coming up I genuinely can say is going to be perfect, or that I think I'm going to absolutely love regardless of what it gives us. And I wish I could say that for other things. It's not that I have a list of expectations. It's if I know the writer's doing a good job and has a track record, which is why there was such a big disconnect for Mando season 3, because I thought Mando was the show that couldn't go wrong. And then Book of Boba had some good moments, but I thought, okay, well, we'll see this get back on track in Mando 3. And then for me, it did the opposite of that.
Yeah. And they were probably written together.
Exactly.
One last topic. And another show and tell. Another show and tell. To change topics. I couldn't help but pick up this guy. We got another blurg. So this Yachty gets credit again because we went to one booth and they had this Funko marked at $60. I was like, ooh, $60 for a Funko. That's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that.
So you stole it?
No. Oh. So we walk around. You walk around a little bit more and you find one that's $40.
And then you stole it?
Oh, that's better. But still, okay. No thanks. And then she found this one, $25.
And you stole it.
Oh, it's mine. I bought it. So
nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
I needed it because it's got a blurg. And I needed Hasbro to know I still need my vintage collection blurgs. But no, I paid for it.
Yeah.
$25. The other topic was this production during a writer's strike. There's been some thrown out there that they're using a loophole by using contracts in Europe, specifically in.
Yeah, why are people even saying that? It's not a thing.
Well, because there was a story about it. There was a story that said if they had existing contracts before the writer's strike, then they could continue working on the existing work until it's done.
Yeah, that is so. The actual, I can't remember what the British Writers Guild is called, but something like that. They said if you scab at all, you're blacklisted for life. They said if you scab at all, you're done. You're not going to write for us, and then you will be blacklisted by them, and you're out. Your career is over. And then a lot of people have been taking it in a weird direction because the problem is a lot of times we have like writers who are writers, executive producers, and directors or showrunners and stuff like that. And a lot, so like Tony Gilroy is a good example. People are like, oh, he's making it work. He's scab. But it's like, no, Tony Gilroy like finished his draft before it was done, before the writer's strike happened. I mean, and he got done like a few days before the writer's strike. And then the other place people were taking that was, oh my God, he wasn't even done. Writing is never done. Right. You're not done until they say you can't. If you go to college, you're going to be like, write a paper, and then you're going to be like, I got to turn it in. But you know what? If I had 2 more days, but you got deadlines. So the draft.
Well, if I had 2 more days, I wouldn't have started it yet.
Right? Yeah,
Just
in
saying.
college probably. Yeah, exactly. But so it's like that doesn't matter on Acolyte. People were also saying like, I don't know if Acolyte's going to shut down. I haven't heard anything that Acolyte would shut down, but I think Acolyte's also a different situation because Acolyte was a real writer's room. Like part of the strike is actually about the Tony Gilroy style writer's room. Well, Tony Gilroy and his 2 best friends, his brother and his buddy. And they're like, that's not cool because you're taking all of the money for yourself and not spreading the love around. But the Acolyte one is actually like 8 writers. So therefore there's a good chance that each of those scripts fixed the flaws already.
So Andor is still in production to some degree.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be wrapping like really soon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then I heard that they're moving forward with some production on what's the other one?
Acolyte?
Was that it? Again, I got a little brain fog on it.
Yeah.
But they were moving forward on another project, and then there's the whole news about Lord of the Rings and all these productions because they're kind of using this loophole to be able to do.
No. See that isn't a loophole. What they're doing is they don't have a showrunner. The showrunner walked, and they're just going forward without a showrunner. That's not a loophole. That's just dangerous for quality.
Well, just using British writers shooting in England, so you can get away with not doing it in Hollywood.
I don't believe that's what's happening there. What happened was they're going like their showrunner who was a writer couldn't do it because they were a writer. So they're walking, they're striking. But what's happening is the directors of I believe, I could be wrong, but last I heard the directors were just going to do the show running duties basically for their episodes, which is kind of not unlike a movie when you really get down to it. It's just like an executive producer who's not breathing over your neck. And on like Game of Thrones and that show, they already have a established kind of direction and lore around it, or like what they want to do. So it might not be a big deal. I don't know. We're going to see like how it washes out. But I saw people saying like, oh, it's a loophole. I don't think it's a loophole. I don't think that's actually what's happening.
Well, the loophole is they're using British writers to fill in for the American writers,
and that's not what they can do. They literally can't do it.
But that's what they're saying.
They can't release it. They can't release the studios can't go forward and do that. If they do that, they will never get a deal. They will say you're doing that, and then also you will be banned in England. in the UK. You will not be able to. So if you did that, they would have to be getting scabs in the UK to like do it. I don't think that makes. I personally, maybe there's something I missed. I don't think that's possible.
But there's another part to this story that, Jason, you have been reporting. You've been kind of telling us about for some time. Nobody's talking about it yet, but they're going to be talking about it very soon, like within moments, if not days. But they should be talking about it.
Directors?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to be sitting down with them today, actually.
Yeah, so the studios are meeting with the directors today, and we're on the same parallel track here with the directors, where we're going to end up with them joining the writers' strike within a matter of days, weeks. I don't know how all this works.
2 months from May 1st, so May, June, so around July 1st-ish is when the directors will probably almost definitely go on strike, unless the writers get the deal like established and then they move forward. Then in that time, then that could break it. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. And there's also been like big people, like people who would go to the studio executives' houses for barbecues, like people like Judd Apatow, who have been like, I think they've been actually planning this for a long time. They think that the studios actually are cool with it, want it, because they're going to be able to squeeze the writers out and do like I said, buy Netflix is buying up things from Asia. They're going that direction. They're going to move into unscripted television. They're like, fine, yeah, we'll do that. We won't give you guys anything, and then you guys will eventually like fold to us. And it's I don't that's why I don't know how it ends. I've seen people going like, oh, it's going to be 2 months. And like, I hope that is true. I hope it is like only because the thing about it is everybody knows what the answers are. Like it's not like there is no answer and they're scrounging, trying to find what is the solution. Everybody knows what the solutions are and what the various like terms look like. They've both sides have laid it out, and the studios are just like, no, we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna take it. So yeah, it's gonna. I hope I'm wrong, but if it goes on it the way it's been going, like it looks like it could be like a year-long strike.
Well, that's why again I told you I've got a 3-digit number in my videos.
Yeah, I hope it's wrong.
Look, I know you guys give me a lot of hard time about the elves and the unionization, and I'm trying to show this right-wing anti-union guys support for what's going on. By keeping track of this writer's strike. We're in day 8 of it. I'm aware of it and trying to make it public knowledge. Like people know the writer's strike is going, and we're going to add the
DGA? The Directors Guild of America.
Yeah, so DGA is looking to join that in July. So I think it's going to go well past 100 days. You know, my guess, and this is just out of the blue, is like around 180 days. Right? That 6-month mark, give or take. So I think we're going to be hopefully under 200, hopefully under 180, but I think we're going to be in that ballpark.
Yeah, and there's always a chance that like it just magically it comes together. Like some of the big boys see a reason, and like Netflix is supposedly one of the ones that's the most like ardent and not moving and being like the most difficult, and like the whole industry will just move on without Netflix if that is what's happening and it does go that way. But when you look at like if you just read quotes from Bob Iger where he's praising Zaslav over at Warner. And like you could tell those guys got together and they colluded about what the like industry is going to look like together. Like that almost without a doubt happened. And in that, how they're going to deal with this strike is something that they were like also dealing with in that kind of scenario. But it could mean really, really bad things for this whole Star Wars thing, because if this does go on for a year, we're not getting a Star Wars movie in 2025. It's probably going to be impossible.
Well, and that's what I don't want to speak for Meg. I just want to. That's what I'm hearing in a lot of your content is saying. I don't have full confidence in this 2025 movie for a host of reasons. This being one of them, that the writing may be rushed. Am I on at least the right page, Meg?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, there's a lot. The track record doesn't hold up for everybody, and then if it's not a fully baked story, and not a fully baked filming, right? Like it's rushed, then we might get a less than fully baked movie. So I get it. I understand that.
Well, like the thing with like Star Wars is they've kind of cashed in the majority of the very obvious wins. Like, we bring back Mark Hamill and his Luke Skywalker again. Okay, you guys cashed that. Oh, the one where Han Solo dies, you guys cashed that. You know what I mean? And Princess Leia, she's not with us anymore. You can't take that anywhere. And so what it actually means though is that if they don't get to do that one where it's like the very obvious thing, they have to actually like pull out a really good movie that leads to exponential growth for storytelling on its own. And that's lightning in a bottle kind of stuff. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. Like Marvel had it for a very long streak, and now some people say they don't have it or they haven't had it. And like it's you can't really predict how that stuff's going to go. You just have to hope it works out. Like I actually think I'm the most worried about Stephen Knight, to be honest with you. Stephen Knight, I mean, look at what he's done overall. I'm not a big fan. I don't hate him. I don't think he can't do it, but he hasn't done something that makes me go, he's going to do it. Don't worry.
So does something like this work out for a Taika Waititi?
No, it doesn't, because everybody around the first or the second had to take what they have and they had to turn it into the Writers Guild for like to be held. So if Taika comes out and has 300 pages of revision done 2 days after the strike, in that year after the strike, they're gonna know he broke the strike, because they're gonna know where he was at and what he did. So if anybody accuses you, so I believe the rules say they keep your scripts for a year and up to the day that the strike ends.
Well, didn't Gilroy, and again, I was only partially paying attention, so you guys correct me. Didn't he say he'd just drop his scripts if people he would show, like, here they are, you judge them, right?
Oh, well, yeah, he had to, like,
I know he had to turn them in, but he was just going to release them to the public.
Oh, he's releasing season one. Season one is they're going to have a website with all of the scripts and all of and a bunch of the concept art for the show, and that's going to be like a website at some point. And I would imagine season 2 will follow suit. So that's going to be cool, because I've seen some stuff before, but you don't really see that stuff get out.
That's great. Hey, I've kept you both long. Again, for those who my Ray shelf, I love it. It's all the Rays. There's some
Santa calls us his little rays of sunshine.
Exactly. I got the minifigs. I've got the vintage collection. I got Black Series, and I've got my hot toy right there. The
5-7 Love Doll. Oh, what?
No.
Oh.
It stops there, and of course the lightsaber. But no, I've had a lot of fun talking with you guys today, and there's so much more we could talk about, but we've gone really long. I do want to bring up our Patreon. I've been trying to get the rest of the Darth Plagueis novel posted on there. We finished the first 2 parts. There's a 3-part book. The first 2 parts of the book are out on our Patreon now. I want to get through the 3rd part as soon as possible so that we can move on and maybe cover some Thrawn novels as we get ready to come up onto Ahsoka in just a couple months. Super excited. You know, we talk about the movies and stuff. We haven't talked a whole lot about what's coming up. We've got Ahsoka just around the corner. My expectations are high. My hopes are high. My excitement is high. It couldn't be more thrilled that we're getting that just around the corner. So, Mike Popcorn Porter says, "What's your schedule this week, Santa?" Well, today, and then after today, I don't know. I would love to talk Star Wars every day. So I don't know. I expect maybe Friday will be the only other show this week, and hopefully I'll get Darth Plagueis finished, so that'll be posted on Patreon. You never know. I might pop into one of Jason's streams. I don't know.
Always welcome.
Yeah. Especially if I see Meg and they're talking nonsense, I say, "No, I can't let her."
Yeah, you gotta be like, Meg, you need to zip it.
No, I kid.
No.
I kid.
No. Well,
I kid. I do have a Mike Porter dad joke though. It's a good one.
Is it about Meg? Don't
No.
read it if it is. Okay.
What did the young Jedi say about going on an adventure and facing problems together? This is a good one. What do they say? There's nubsing to it. There's nubsing to it when they face problems. There's nubsing to it.
I don't get it. I really don't get this one.
Nothing. There's nothing to it.
But
There's
what's nub? What's nub?
It sounds like. That's all. Sounds like.
All right.
The end.
Okay. I'll go.
Sounds
with
like it.
Meg will explain it to me later, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You guys remember to remind Yachty that
Yachty.
that the oh shoot, I just forgot the name of their little island paradise.
Scarif?
Bad Batch is on Scarif. Yeah.
On Scarif.
Yeah. Pabu. You got to tell Yachty.
More like
Pabu.
Pop Boom, right, Santa?
Yeah.
Right.
Pabu is on Scarif. That's poking the bear. It gets her upset because she came up with a theory that the Bad Batch were going to go back to Pabu and they were going to retire, peaceful, live nice, quiet lives, live out their days in comfort and happiness on Pabu. And then I told her, except that's on Scarif, and then what if they get killed as you know? Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tsunami planet. I don't think it's a good place to retire personally, Adi. Honestly, beyond all that, I just would probably not live there.
I kept making her mad. It was fun. It was fun. All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mike Porter. Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you
for putting up with me.
Thanks, guys.
And Jason, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll catch you later this week. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope to see you next time. And until then, Merry Christmas. And may the Force be with you always. Bye-bye.